My dear Muslim friend and Muslim apologist, if I were to ask you the following two questions: what is true Islam? And how can I gain the knowledge about true Islam? Do you think that you can answer these two questions? Or rather, do you think that the answer to these two questions are fairly simple? For instance, if I apply the 5 pillars of Islam, Salat, Zakat, Sawm, Shahada, and Hajj, would that make me a true Muslim? Or you're still going to say that hijab is fard, compulsory, and not a choice? Or you cannot be Muslim and eat pork? Or if you are a Muslim woman, you cannot marry a non-Muslim man, and so on? Because all of that has nothing to do with the 5 pillars of Islam. Is true Islam to believe in the Quran only? Or I have to believe in the Quran and the true Sunnah and Hadith to be Muslim? Because every time we talk about ISIS or September 11 or suicide jihadis, your automatic response is that they do not represent Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. So when the Quran says, رَضِيتُ لَكُمَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا, I have approved for you Islam as religion, what does God actually mean by Islam that He approves of? What is that true Islam? Your Islam or Islam of one of the Mujahideen brothers? Perhaps true Islam is that of the Quranism that rejects the Sunnah. Is true Islam that is of a Sunni scholar or a Shia imam? What Islam exactly that God approved of, and what Islam do you say that it doesn't represent true Islam? Because all these groups call themselves true Muslims, and the only ones that hold on to the one true faith of Islam. Islam was never a religion of peace. Not today, not ever. Most Muslim people are peaceful people. I agree with that. But Islam as a religion and as an ideology is not a religion of peace. If you go and read some of the comments on my previous videos, you will find a decent amount of them calling me ignorant and that I don't know true Islam. Go and learn about Islam first before you criticize it, they say. And of course, whenever I talk about the killing verses or violence in the Quran, you hear Muslims claim that I misunderstood the verses or took them out of context and that I made up things in my head, and that is not true Islam. Adam, you don't know what you're talking about. Listen to Zakir Naik or Ahmed Didat or Yusuf Estes and seek true knowledge of Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. I'm sorry to burst your bubble here, my Muslim friend, but there is no one, literally no one, that possesses the true knowledge of Islam. Not since the time of the Prophet. That in itself is a myth that you were told about Islam. As if it was once upon a time a true peaceful Islam. But today we got a corrupt version of it, or we became ignorant of what Islam truly is. That idea is a complete myth. If you really look at Islamic history and study it closely, you will soon realize that there is no such thing as true peaceful Islam. It never existed. Let me show you why I say that and why I claim that Islam was never a religion of peace. From the very early years after the birth of Islam and the death of Prophet Muhammad, you find that Uthman, the caliph of the Muslims, Uthman ibn Affan, was killed at the hands of Muslims. After him, Ali ibn Abi Talib, the cousin of the Prophet, was also killed at the hands of Muslims. After Ali, Al-Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet, was beheaded at the hands of Muslims. And his brother too, Al-Hassan, son of Ali and another grandson of the Prophet, was also betrayed and poisoned to death at the hands of Muslims. Then another two of the highly regarded Muslims, Talha and Al-Zubair, who were promised paradise by the Prophet himself, guess what? They were killed at the hands of Muslims. In the Battle of the Camel, موقعة الجمل, a battle between Ali, the cousin of the Prophet, and Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, Muslims were killed at the hands of Muslims. Following that, in the Battle of Siffin, between Ali and Muawiyah, Muslims were killed at the hands of Muslims. In the Battle of Nahrawan, between Ali and his rivals, Muslims were killed at the hands of Muslims. In another following war between Al-Hussein and Yazid, 73 of the Prophet's extended family were brutally slaughtered at the hands of Muslims. 73 of the Prophet's family. Again, when people of Medina got very angry for the killing of Al-Hussein, 700 Muslims from the Ansar and the Muhajirin were killed by the Umayyad Muslim army. Then Amir al-Mu'mineen, Marwan ibn al-Hakam, was killed at the hands of Muslims. After him, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, was killed at the hands of Muslims. Following that, Amir al-Mu'mineen al-Walid ibn al-Yazid was killed at the hands of Muslims. Then Amir al-Mu'mineen Ibrahim ibn al-Walid was killed at the hands of Muslims. After the Umayyads came the Abbasids. And of course, the first Abbasid Caliph, Abu al-Abbas, killed nearly everybody from the lineage of the Umayyads. Muslims at the hands of Muslims. And I can keep going for hours about this chain of killings at the early history of Islam, the true religion of peace. But I will stop here, and you can go and reference check every detail I mentioned above. In all those killings and bloodshed, those who killed wanted Islamic Caliphate, and those who were killed also wanted an Islamic Caliphate. Those who killed others shouted Allahu Akbar, and those who were killed were reciting the Shahada. All of those people who killed and who were killed were Quran observant and reciting mu'mins, and through them the Quran was allegedly transmitted down to us. And after all that comes a Muslim apologist today to tell us you're ignorant and you don't know anything about true Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. Really, brother? There are numerous videos today on YouTube by young Muslim people saying that ISIS doesn't represent Islam and they are not true Muslims. And their reason is simply because they kill other Muslims in Syria and Iraq. Habibi, that's the entire history of Islam. It has always been the case that Muslims killed by Muslims and at the hands of Muslims, and they both claimed to represent true Islam, and ISIS is not any different. One thing I can agree with you today, that the majority of the Muslim people on the planet are peaceful people, and in no way I am trying to outcast them or exclude them. Quite the opposite. But to claim that the ideology of Islam is peaceful and it is a religion of peace is utter nonsense. It goes against all historical evidence. The one thing you need to understand and fully grasp is that both parties, those whom you see as truly representing Islam and those whom you see do not represent true Islam, both are very well educated on Hadith and Sunnah. They memorize the Quran very well and they pray daily. They understand Sharia and its legal sources. And both parties are actually fighting over which one of them possesses the correct understanding and the accurate interpretation of true Islam. The war between the two parties is not coming from a place of ignorance. It is a very literate debate and an aggressive fight for the correct application of true Islam. When you claim that one of those parties got it totally wrong, despite of all their understanding and all of their knowledge of Islamic literature, that tells me one thing. It just shows that God of Islam didn't do a good job in revealing his message to humanity. It is such a vague and ambiguous message that left Muslims from every side fighting and waging wars on each other for 1400 years. What kind of book and what kind of message is that? So, next time when you make the claim that certain groups do not represent Islam, think again for a second. Are you saying that God failed in delivering his peaceful message to humanity and that he did a terrible job in revealing his word? Or perhaps this book you call the Quran and this religion you call Islam were not revealed from God at all?